Hello everyone, I will be doing a recap and breakdown of the trade I took today on the NASDAQ minis contract, using a simple framework along with the indicator automating that framework. Now, going into today, I was observing lower prices initially for the morning session in New York Open, and after a large reversal and push back up, started aiming for highs. Now, before we jump into the higher time frame, just looking at this bear price action, we can see we have low resistance buy side liquidity resting up here. So now my mission is to make this as accurate as possible and avoid all this chop here. And that's what the indicator is going to do for me. So let's first off start by looking at the higher time frame and looking at the weekly indicator. Observing the weekly indicator, we can see in the overnight session, we saw a drop down towards this discount beneath the root candle. If you are unfamiliar with the root candle and or how the indicator works, be sure to check out the lecture series on this YouTube, which will be on the top right. Now going into today, I was observing lower prices initially at New York Open, and we saw a pretty decent drop. Thereafter, price started to ramp back up higher, thus pushing into this upper AMRP range. Understanding this, I looked for a very easy target, in which case it was that low resistance buy side and this high resting up here. Now, based off the weekly model, I did get an alert overnight, but in the morning is when I do most of my trading for the New York AM session. And so looking at this area here, we can see that with the root candles, which I will turn on here, we were able to close above Sunday's root candle on this candle here. Within the same time frame, we wicked back in, failed to close beneath, and ramped up higher. What I essentially looked for at that point in time was a confirmation that we were going to push up even higher. So my trade idea, aiming for these highs resting up here, we can see how we closed above this root, signaling the opportunity for me to see a continuation higher. And if I want to hold my trade longer, then it would be in this upper area up here, right? Aiming for these highs is a very easy, low-hanging fruit target. So my next mission is to make this trade a bit more precise. And that's where the lower time frame comes into play here. If we backtrack into the previous models here, we will begin to see a couple of things. As we can see, my trade took place right here on this long opportunity for these resting highs up here. We have low resistance buy side, and so my mission is to essentially avoid the chop, get in when I need to, and perhaps just take profit. A very clean trade today. And this netted about, on this initial entry, a 2 RR or more, most likely a 2.5 RR. Now, the idea behind this trade again is based off the 15-minute, as we just saw on the weekly indicator. I'm simply looking for a continuation off the root candle. I then go down to the 2-minute. I see this low resistance buy side. I see that we're at a key time and we're beneath the roots, meaning we are in a discount, and I'm looking for a vicious push at 1 p.m. As we can see, we have a large push right there. Now all I need to do is use my simple framework, which is a drawn liquidity, DTT, the right time and discount, and a mechanical entry, in which case it would be this candle here, which is known to me as an MBZ. I can choose to enter at the closing, 50%, or the opening price. And the indicator essentially does all the heavy lifting for me. It tells me what time to enter and where to enter. And then I just look for an MBZ or an SIF. Take this for example. if I didn't have the indicator on here, it'd be quite interesting, right? What I'm essentially automating is the framework with DTT. If I were to long up here based off this fair value gap, right, you can see how I would have to deal with quite a long time of chop. And sometimes I still get caught in some chop. But with the framework that I use here and with the automated indicator, I'm able to bypass that chop more often than not. And this was a pretty clean trade that I looked for on this trading day. So a very quick breakdown going over the indicator and the trade recap with the execution there. Bring the account balance on this funded account to a nice amount. I hope this brought some insight into the opportunities that take place within the markets here and the framework that I use on a day-to-day basis.